production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
This is the November 3rd meeting of the SAC, and we welcome you. Norm, you're standing up here like you have something you'd like to say. Is that right?
Yeah, according with the committee,
he's running the meeting. That was what we voted, was that the members would run the meeting. That was still the vote, last vote we had, yes.
We voted to have the chairs take part.
not to moderate the meeting.
No, not to moderate the meeting.
To start it, yes.
Yes.
They start it and do the procedural type stuff, and then the committee takes over.
That's what we said. That's what the committee's rule is.
I'm not sure about that, actually. I know that there was there were some votes, and it seemed like, yeah, we don't want the board to be involved, and then the next week was we do want the board to be involved, and I'm not sure that we have any clarity about that, really.
Then really you need to go back and look at the things, because that was clearly done.
I think clarity, I've run the last 3 meetings, and there's been no motion or anything to change that procedure.
That's right.
Actually, I ran last week's meeting, and I invited you to come up to make your presentation at the time.
I thought it was the other way around.
Yes, it was. It should have been.
Yeah.
Well, you might say that it should have been, but I just rewatched the video, and I stood up at 2 o'clock and welcomed you all to this meeting. And so anyway, okay. So, well, this is my concern: is that you all got an email that came out to you saying what we expected to happen today. Is that operational for you, Norm?
I'm not sure I got the email, but I think the vote of the committee to put me as running the meeting was because they thought the committee members should have more control in running the meeting than the board of directors.
Exactly.
And the role of the board members was to be what then?
Yes. Role of what?
The role of the board members was then to be what?
Well, to do the procedural stuff you do at the meeting, and that was it. And
take your notes, do the report after the fact, what you normally do.
And nothing has been said to change that procedure.
Can't hear.
Guys,
Okay.
use the microphone. People can't hear.
Can't hear a thing over here.
Turn off your phones, please, if they're on. You folks can't talk. Obviously, there's some consternation about who is going to be running the meeting. And you can all hear me fine, can't you? Yep.
So the situation was that an email that I wrote an email and asked Jean to send it out to everybody explaining what we expected to happen today. And for those of you who haven't received it, the tenor of that email was simply that because there seems to be no consensus among the committee about being able to coalesce around one single option, that we would be, instead of arguing about one single option, simply we would simply be extending our scope to say that we'll actually go back to what the board had originally hoped would happen, and that was that the committee would come up with a multiple numbers of plans, 2 plans, 3 plans, 4 plans, that could then be presented to the membership, and we could get feedback on those. And so my recommendation, my proposal was that today we would open this up to considering further alternatives to Marlene's plan, which was going to be designated an M for Marlene. So that is not to say that we're taking Marlene's plan off the table by any stretch of the imagination. It's simply saying that that will be one of the alternatives that could be presented to the board. We've had multiple other members and groups of members make alternative proposals, and I think the board would be very thankful to have a number of different proposals to weigh and to compare with one another. So my proposal for today was simply that we move in that direction. We have several proposals that have been presented by members along the way, and that we would have a chance to look at them to see, the brief description, what stays, what goes, what grows, what is diminished in size. Secondly, that there would be some kind of a sketch to give us a visual about that. Thirdly, that I can remember my email right now. Behind you. Okay, right. So to kind of list, so in other words, rather than saying I don't want that plan presented, you could say that plan could be presented, but I would like to say what my negative on that would be. So we would be comparing, we would be including lists of positives and negatives, and finally adding whatever information we would need in order for the board to be able to accurately or properly, appropriately evaluate said plans.
Sorry, you took a breath.
We have two ladies that have their hands up. Would you like to give them?
No. I would like to have a chance, since you gave me a microphone. We have been over all of the alternatives since May of this year. We have put in a tremendous number of hours in the hot summer going over all of these proposals. I have the same goal as you do, but probably a different way of getting there. And the goal is to get recommendations from this committee to the board. And it's true, they can be more than one, and I've said that from the beginning many, many times. But I don't think rehashing what we've been doing for meeting every week from May till now is going to help. My plan, which I didn't email out, was to have this meeting and see if we can't get a resolution. I mean, we've had 3 votes with tie votes. See if we can't get a resolution up for a recommendation for the board, whether it's 1, 2, doesn't matter. But I think that's a much quicker way and more efficient way to do it, rather than going back and repolling the same land. So that's the process I would like to go to.
Microphone tour. I have a question to, can you hear me?
No.
Usually I speak loud enough, but this is really a question to Karen. We all got several emails this morning, one particularly from our new general manager. Will you be speaking to that at all today?
I don't believe I know what you're referring to.
Oh, I can give you a copy of it. You didn't get it?
It did not come from the general manager.
Well, I know it came from Jeff, but it was from the general manager concerning what we're doing and why we're not sticking to Project
Want it
B.
on the screen?
And I just want to know if you are prepared, maybe not, obviously, to talk to us about that. Because Jeff wants us to, as a committee, send something to the board.
Okay, so I wanted, there's a couple of things going on right here, and we have to figure out how we're going to handle them. One is who is going to actually be leading this meeting, and I'm willing to cede the microphone to you, Norm, in that situation, but I think that I still will stick with what the points were of my email and hope that that will happen. But before that, there are some questions about the co-chair positions here on the board, and I thought that last week we had mentioned that John Fast was no longer on this committee, but some people are saying that we had, and I know that he had actually responded to an email that came from somebody on the committee and said, I have been removed from this committee, and I thought that it had just gone out to everybody. Apparently it hadn't. So John Fast is no longer on this committee. He has also resigned his position on other committees that he was assigned to. And this morning we received notification that Jeff Darbett effective 5 o'clock today, is resigning his position on the board altogether. So I don't have that cake this morning. As many of you have realized, Jeff has not shown up at recent board meetings or at committee meetings with no explanation, as we don't know anything more about that than what I've just told you. So please talk to Jeff directly about it. I don't want to comment on anything. I have no idea. I don't know what's behind all of that. So we are in the situation right now where neither John nor Jeff are involved with the SAC anymore going forward. As far as that email to management is concerned, I think that let me save that for a minute, because his management, so Kevin is here, but Matthew is not. I think we probably could say something, but we probably need to get some of these other issues resolved first.
Yeah. That's fine. All I was asking, will you address it sometime today for us?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, before we go down any of these rabbit holes, let's stick with what the direction was given to the committee, and that was to come up with recommendations to the board regarding Mount View. And I think we can do that if we don't go down all these other interesting avenues that we have. And that's what I would like to do today, and revisit what we tried to do last week and see if we can't resolve it, and then we can have discussions on a lot of other things if you choose, or not if you choose. But
all right, so again, I have been gone, but I've always had a representative from my club here. So I'm looking at this thinking, if we were going to go with this, wouldn't the committee as a whole have to vote to agree that we would go with this versus what we've normally been doing? So I understand the concept of it, but I think at this point we'd have to vote, we'd all have to vote that we want to do that, and I don't know that the vote would go that way. But the other thing I want to say is I've been to these meetings, we have voted twice that I know of on what we thought should stay at Mountain View and what we thought shouldn't stay at Mountain View. And we couldn't because of when we got the budget and realized we couldn't spend $1 million that we wanted to. I think, unless I misunderstand, this committee was to come up with an alternative to Plan A and B that, for whatever reasons, were rejected by the board. And then we were to submit that. And then town hall meetings were going to be held in which everybody from the community could come in and make comments on our recommendations, bring up new ideas, thoughts of their own, and that then the RCSC board would take all of that information and decide with what, if anything, was appropriate. So I don't think we need to come up with 90 plans to submit to RCSC. I thought the purpose of this board was to figure out what could, within a budget, put in Mountain View based on the community interest at large of who we all represent, even though we all represent individual club interest. We actually represent the community we live in. And so almost everyone in this room has had to give up a little compromise. I will say mini golf hopefully doesn't have to give up anything, but we already have in the past given up an entire course so that multiple new things could be brought in to our community. I get this, but I don't think that at this point we should jump to a whole new concept of what we've been doing. I think we should stick with what we've been doing, get on with it, give a recommendation to RCSC, have town hall meetings, and let the community give their input. Sorry.
Which is what I suggested. If we go ahead with this meeting and try to come up with a recommendation, we'll have gotten a lot further than we have in the 6 months that we've been working at this. Then we can have discussions on other recommendations. And that way we're going to work through this in a systematic way. That's the way I came here prepared to do. And the committee, I think, doesn't dislike me too much. So, so I think that we continue the way we have for the last 3 meetings, and we see what happens. We can deal with this. We can deal with anything, but let's see if we can't reach a recommendation first. That's a priority issue. So can I continue?
That's some three hands up.
Well, we could have a battle over mic.
We ought to have questions later.
Okay, Dave?
I would like Mike to, I would like to move forward and move that the committee here recommend to the board what was just up there on the screen, the first alternative. The committee recommends that the architect's rendering be followed as closely as possible.
Plan.
Well, it's not there,
What
up
did
there
you
now.
want on this one?
Marlene's recommendation be followed, and that there would be, we can develop today, I guess, maybe we're not quite ready to do this, not at this point. Are we ready to vote to move forward?
Well, the procedure is that you would make a motion, we'd get a second, and then we'd have discussion, and then
Okay,
and then we would vote.
okay. So the recommendation would also say that no activity would be eliminated or reduced except as described in the only activity that's been reduced is tennis. So other than tennis, her rendering be followed as closely as possible. Let me read it again. That the committee recommends that the architect's rendering be followed as closely as possible, and that no activity be eliminated or reduced except for the tennis, which was identified.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. All right, so then we go on discussion. I would really appreciate it if we didn't go over and over and over the things we've done before, but if you bring in something new that would have an effect on the motion and the vote, then that's good. But I don't want to replow 5 months of work.
Anna,
This seems to me like it was the exact same motion that was made at the last meeting.
And passed.
And we voted on it, and it was 6-6. That's not passing vote. So we were deadlocked. This motion has actually already been voted on and was deadlocked at a 6-6 decision last week.
So then if that's true,
6 to
then
7 the week before.
let's,
It was 7-7 the week before
6 to
because
7.
no, one of the proxy votes was not counted. It was 7-7 the week before and 6-6 last week. So I guess what I'm concerned about is it seems like all we're doing is just trying to, we're going to keep pushing this and pushing this and pushing
but
this
it's an alternative.
until, I know, but we've had 2 votes on this already and the decision has been
and a motion has been made for a third vote, so could we do a motion?
I'd like to say something,
That's the
Norm,
discussion.
please.
They voted.
There, as far as I know, is not a limit to the number of votes you have. And now that everybody's back instead of off to their summer places, we've got a different makeup. So I'm open for discussion about the motion.
Okay, I agree that we should move forward with Marlene's plan was a good plan. What they talked about the last meeting was eliminating lawn bowling at Mountain View was absolutely ridiculous. I have the president of 2 lawn bowling clubs are here, and if they could speak on that, it depends because,
We're in the middle of a motion.
okay, for them to be eliminated by the other one, Marlene's plan is good. It's not eliminating them, it's giving pickleball 17 courts, which they should be very grateful for.
I just want to say that I agree 100%. I did put forward a plan during this process, during these long months, and I liked the plan I put forward, and I think the committee considered that at the time, and worked off of that and kept going. Marlene was brought in by the committee chairs and worked with us for, I think, 4 or 5 weeks narrowing down step by step by step what we supported, what we felt should be at Mountain View. We voted every single step of the way for her to come up with not really a plan, but a concept of what would work best, what we, the committee, feel Sun City would help or be best for Sun City overall at Mountain View. And I fully support the final decision that all the committee made together with the architect and what she came up with. I'm not willing to go back and resubmit my old plan. I believe that the current plan that we all worked so hard to create is the way to go. And I'd like to support that, and that's all I've got to say.
I'm really not sure what we're arguing about here. Can we agree that we're going to send this plan forward, and then we're going to talk about another one? And if we get enough interest in that one, we'll send that one forward. This isn't, we're not voting that one's better than the other. We're just voting that they have merit and should be given to the members of Sun City to look at.
Nothing to do with that. The current motion happens. Nothing's going to do. Nice to have you back, Steve.
Let's hear it. Oh, that's right, last week, sorry. So if I understand correctly, then we want to take what was presented to us by Marlene 2 weeks ago and say move forward with that as Plan M, if you will. Just that's Marlene's plan.
That's our recommendation to the committee.
Do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so can I raise a question about that plan at this point?
Can you do what?
Raise a question about that plan?
Sure, that's what the discussion is for.
Okay. So in there, item 6, she had a cost of $1.2 million, a lap sports pool. And I think in the time that she had received some suggestion that the committee wanted that, and then in the meantime, we find out from someone else that that may not be the same appropriate, or the data set changed. So to that, it's one item in there that I just think we need to.
Who did we find out this information from?
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Scott. Maybe this hasn't been clear to everybody on the committee, and so that's why I'm sorry if this is a surprise.
I mentioned to the 3 co-chairs at the beginning of this committee that the volleyball club at Oakmont had authorized me to stay at Oakmont if it was in the best interest of the rec centers, for the money problem or fitting us in or for whatever it was. And so that's all I have.
That was the change you were talking about?
That's not a lap pool.
And the reason that that's an issue is what, Steve?
Well, just that it's in that plan N, and if he doesn't want, if the water volleyball, which is a big group, doesn't want to have it at Mountain View, why would we pay $1.2 million?
Well, okay. But Steve, you weren't at the last meeting. I don't know whether you zoomed in or not, I'm not sure. But one of the recommendation that goes along with Dave's motion is that we also recommend that the board of directors and the architect work with smaller specific groups to work out the specifics, which are to stay within the committee's recommendations. So issues like that, issues like the area surrounding a pickleball court, or whatever other little issues come up, we as a group can't solve that, because most of us don't get into those specifics for those activities. But if the board works with the pool people and decides, whether it's a lap pool or a volleyball pool, that's going to get more accurate representing the people's uses And the same thing for pickleball, the same thing for any of those others. You'll come up with a much better solution that way. So issues like this, yes, but that's why we said follow the general outline of that, not follow every specific in there. That's my point.
Steve, we never said that water volleyball had to move. What we said was we were going to put in a lap pool that would be built for the addition of water aerobics, and for the future, like everybody's talking about, if water volleyball would blow up, they could also use that pool. It wasn't that we were making them move there, we were planning on possible expansion in the future.
The Aqua Fitness will still use the big pools. There has never been a question or even an idea that Aqua Fitness would go to the lap pool. Oh, you just stated that.
No, I said in the event that you would need the lap pool, it would be built at a depth that you could use.
Well, I don't know why we would need it, because the big pool is what we need for the number of people that we have in the classes.
Again,
Expansion.
one of the problems I think this committee has had is we get too far down in the weeds. We should not be deciding the specifics for any particular activity. What this motion does, it gives the board a general outline of something we think would be an improvement over the plans they had prior to this and the situation in Mountain View as you find it now. But these are little items. We're recommending the board sit down with the people that are using those activities and the architect and work out what can be done within this big framework. That's what we're talking about. That's why I think we've gotten really bogged down, is that we get too far into the details. They want a recommendation. They want a direction to go in. That's what we're looking for. And I think we can give that.
Can we vote?
I have another comment. There have been alternatives presented here, and if this motion goes forward, and we do recommend Marlene's option to the board, does that get presented at the town hall? And do the other options that were brought forward get presented anyplace than just one option put together by Marlene? And that's all we've done over the past 6 months.
Okay, let me make a little correction. We are not following exactly Marlene's drawings. That's a general outline. We like that. But within that, there's going to be adjustments and changes. And that's worked out with the people involved. And I think that's the fairest and most accurate way to get to that resolution.
Okay, so with the pool issue, and I'm following it pretty close too, we were 3 pools, we went to 2 pools. One pool really donated pretty much to social swimming and aqua fitness classes. Second one was to be a lap pool. It could accommodate volleyball. In the event volleyball needed it or wanted to use it, or would also open up maybe some hours at Mountain View so that more people could use Mountain View than just for volleyball. Anyway, so my understanding was we were going to do 2 pools. One was kind of a sports pool and one was geared more to social and aqua fitness. So, does that help? Sounds good. I think so.
Karen has to
Okay, Karen. I understand, I think, what you're suggesting, Norm. Okay, we're going to go forward with this, and there's modifications that can be made. Okay, so it's not cast in stone.
No.
I understand that. I just want to make the statement, and we can move on to whatever we want to do, a vote or further discussion. But the lap sports pool, to do it, is based on some belief that it'll get used, contrary to our purpose is to use data-driven decision-making. So if we're understanding that, and the data's been provided that there is no use for a sports pool, let me clarify, a water volleyball use at Mountain View at this time. If you're forecasting that that's going to change because you know something different, that's fine, but I just want to be clear that, fine, go ahead with it. I think it should be something that people look at carefully and say, if water volleyball doesn't need it, doesn't want it, and $1.2 million is inappropriate, and that, as you said, will be decided later. I just wanted to be clear that data today says, from Scott's Club, we don't need it at Mountain View.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
And the other option I had heard was used for a lap pool, whatever that is. But that's exactly it. If Scott wants volleyball to bail out, then fine. Then the second pool could be a lap pool, or there could be no second pool. That's all workable. That's what I'm saying. It's very, very flexible.
Thanks, Chairman.
And
just a question. That's all I'm going to do, Norm. It's just a question. I swear.
How long is the question?
Very short. My question is, we've got, besides Karen, there are 3 other board members here. Are we allowed to ask them a question?
I think this is our decision, and I think we have all the information from 6 months of meetings to make a recommendation and then move on if there's any other recommendations.
So your answer to me is no, I can't answer that.
I think we ought to keep it within the committee. That's been our role.
And about the lap pool, you can look at the future too, because when you go to Bell and you go to Marinette, the lap pool's being used for people doing laps. But it doesn't have to just be for water aerobics or volleyball. That lap pool can be used for other exercise classes that it could be something a little different than water aerobics. Some people that maybe want to do another form of exercise in there, but anyway, there's other possibilities that you could look at and at least think about before making a decision of eliminating it. So.
So as I recall, the decision about this pool was made when Marlene said, okay, I want to hear from you. What do you want to keep and what don't you want? Or what do you want to have at Lakeview and what do you want to have there? And it was a lot of, oh, I think this would be really nice. I live there, it would be really nice to have this. Or I live there and I would like to have this there. That was the basis for the decision. That list that we came up, that Marlene put up, and the things that are going to stay at Mountain View is based on, but I would really like. Okay, so I actually did a little bit of a deep dive into the numbers for swimming. And one of the things I discovered is that the Mountain View pool is our largest pool and has the 5th highest usage rates of the 7 centers that have pools. So there's only 2 centers that have fewer users than Mountain View does. Okay, so, excuse me. The other thing that I discovered is that if you took the Oakmont water aerobics and volleyball and moved them to Mountain View, you would end up with 11,000 users over the course of an entire year for 5,500 opened hours at the Oakmont pool, which is a good-sized pool with 2 separate lap swimming lanes. If you're good at math, you'll figure out that's per hour 2 people signing in at Oakmont to swim. So what I would hope to see before we would make a decision to say, not just would it be nice or maybe would we be able to add this or that or the other thing, is do we have a shortage already of lap lanes? You can swim laps at Marinette, you can swim laps at Bell, you can swim laps at Oakmont, you can actually swim laps at Mountain View, not in a separate pool. Some of them, they're different temperatures and all those things. Is there a crying need for us to add lap lanes? Is there a crying need for us to add another pool that's going to cost $1.3 million to build and will seriously increase our operational costs from now until Kingdom Come? So this is why I feel, so I just want to tell you that as you come with the conclusion and say we want to bring this to the board, those are the kinds of questions that the board is going to be asking. That, oh, but we think it would be really nice is not going to carry a lot of weight. So my recommendation is very strong to say that as a committee, make sure that what you're doing is actually representative of readily available data.
And once again, I don't know whether it's my speaking ability or people's hearing, but we don't have to go down these rabbit holes. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to repeat that. We do not have to go down these... Hang on.
No, God,
no. Again, and I said at the beginning, I do not want to rehash what we've done for the last 6 months. And I'm hearing a whole lot of, this is what we said, or this is what we meant. So if somebody wants to move the question, we can have that and get on with the vote, and then we can get on to other agendas.
First, how many voters do we have?
One more comment.
How many voters do we have?
I just want to say this clear and strong. I have had heard Karen say this multiple times, that we just voted for what we liked and we ignored all the data. We have been here 6 months. We have dived so deep into data. We've looked at all the different possible uses. We've looked at the data of who has used what in the past. We have made a very informed decisions. I know as a committee meeting member, I worked very hard and I made all of my decisions based on the facts that were given. I'm very tired of hearing that we just voted for what we liked and we ignored facts. It's so untrue and so unfair.
Okay, I said one more, but Bill has not said a word, and we'll give him a chance and then we'll go on.
and as strange as it may seem, it's not going to be what you think. When I joined this committee, it was because this was a committee that was going to make recommendations to the board. It wasn't a committee where the board told us what to recommend. In a perfect world, we recommend to them, when we have the town hall meetings, there should not be anything presented, but they should listen to what people say and what people want. It shouldn't be driven to a particular thing. The town hall meeting should be open to people's recommendations and ideas, and nothing input from the board.
Just to refresh people's memory on the town hall, we're going to have about 20 to 25 minutes, Steve and I are both involved in that, of a presentation to give some basic information to the members, and then it's going to be open to member comments. Hopefully we'll get a whole lot of varied comments on different things, and they'll be recorded, they'll be written down, and we'll see what comes out of that. But it is a member meeting.
Okay, we'll vote.
I want to call the motion to a vote.
Okay.
How many voters are here, first of all?
The people that can vote are the members of the committee, and if they have a proxy, I've never gone to verify that you have a proxy or not, but we trust people are honest. So the question is, we'll vote on the motion that we accept the rendition, and I didn't call it drawings because they're not finished, of Marlene's in general, and we advise the board to work out specific issues with specific activities with people who are using those activities, representatives of those, and that we encourage haste, because this thing has been hanging on for a long time, and we all know this, until we get this done, we can't move on to the next project, which we have to move on to. So that's the motion. All in favor of that motion, raise your hand.
Clarification. So you're saying that this is as the only recommendation?
No, I never used the word only.
One.
I told you at the beginning that we can have other recommendations after this. But you've got to take one at a time.
There can be more.
How many more are we going to
You can
have?
vote for as many recommendations
Well,
as you
I
want.
mean, your motion earlier, or your suggestion earlier had been to limit us to just one, so we're...
No.
What is
The whole 6 months I've been saying we can have as many recommendations as we need. I've been saying that from the day
This is
one.
one of
As long
many.
as it's not eliminating something.
This is just we're voting on this recommendation. If there's another recommendation, then we can bring that up and vote on it, and we'll go that way. I just don't want to rehash everything. I think we can make decisions and give the board some direction, which is what we were charged to do. Okay.
Well, I'm still missing what the next process is going to be. Are we saying that we need to have a majority?
Just a second, I have to vote on this.
Hang on.
Let us vote, Karen. This is SAC committee.
Hang on, we can't have everybody talking at the same time. This is the first step. The second step will be to ask for other recommendations, and we'll discuss those and vote on those. So we could go on the whole 2 hours and come up with 20 recommendations if we so choose. But we can only take one step at a time. This is the first step. We're not closing out anything. Okay, so if you'll raise your hand if you're in favor of this motion, and keep your hand up so we can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I voted. That's 8. Opposed?
No. You can't vote, Karen.
5.
Board members can't vote, we said.
No, that's not
Maybe.
true.
They were not.
You clearly said to us out loud that you never ever planned to vote as a chairperson. And that we were wrong to even
And
bring
that's
that
how you
up.
were gonna.
And now you're
Hang on.
Board members do not.
Hang on. Let's, the people opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
They don't count.
6.
She don't count.
Okay, but it's 8 to 6. In favor of this motion.
So it passes.
Now, step 2. Do we have another recommendation that we need to present and discuss?
So this one has passed and it is.
Yes.
Okay, who's got the second recommendation?
We need to make it clear that the reason that they were allowed to be on this SAC committee was if they did not vote.
All right, but
Okay, so, and now when we even said that the board members did not have a vote because they are on the board, we are the SAC committee, they are here to support us.
all right, I understand your emotion, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
The
now,
vote is
but
passed,
it
yeah.
could matter no.
Well, in the future, then that maybe needs to be nailed down before
Definitely.
committees operate. But so this is a learning process.
Okay. Step 2. Is there any proxies?
Okay.
Come on, please.
I'm not hearing any other recommendations.
No, there are. Jean has them, and Jean, could you put them one at a time?
I'll try.
Thank you. They've been documented on the SAC website. No,
1 minute.
they're on the SAC website. She's welcome, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not questioning it. I'm just getting out of the way so people can see. But I could stand up there because I am transparent.
Mr. Cellophane.
So, Norm, can I ask you a question while Jean's working on this?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you got it, Mike.
So my question is, apparently we're in a situation, it seems, that we're moving towards saying that any other recommendations would have to receive majority support from this board, from this community. Is that correct?
It's a procedure, yes.
Okay, so right now, can I just assume that there's no point in even moving forward because everybody here, that the 8 people that voted for Marlene's are not intending to vote for any other alternatives?
That's not true. I don't think you can make that decision.
You can't take it.
I'm ready to vote for multiple.
Yeah.
We're already,
Okay.
we're open to the board suggestions.
You have to have more faith in the
Okay, I
community.
just wanted that to be clarified. Okay, thank you.
This is so crazy.
Why are we voting? Let's just present what we have.
We have
We have said from the beginning that we are not limited to one recommendation. And I think that belief and a lot of other beliefs has strung us out for this 5 or 6 months that we've been going at this. So now,
I don't see the point in voting.
well, but that's fine, that's your opinion, but we have a committee here, and they have recommendations, I'm assuming, Steve's trying to get his up there. And so we need to give them a fair hearing, and then we need to vote on those, and if they pass, that's another recommendation. If they don't, then it's not.
Just present what we have.
It's already being presented. The first one is being presented.
Let's move on.
You want to come up here?
No, I don't need to present. People have seen this. I think the SAC committee is familiar with it. It's been presented previously. I won't waste people's time unless they have questions. I'm sure we could address that. But I think Anita makes an important point here that we have submitted, and the chairs, Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, has posted 3 or 4 recommendations. So the committee has those 4 recommendations. So I guess I'm confused what the purpose is. If you said we could do multiple recommendations, they exist. Let's go to the town hall with the fact that we've done our job at the SAC committee.
It's not a committee.
The position is the committee has to vote to make an official recommendation. We've talked about a lot of things, over 20, I think. But that's because we've talked about them doesn't mean that's coming officially from the committee. You get it officially by voting on it. That's the procedure.
If I'm not mistaken, we need to have some sort of a sketch, a visual. Karen, in your note, I like that, a sketch, and I believe part of that was also dollar amount. So I guess you do have that 27.3. But I think we need to read through it together, or we cannot. Somebody should read it.
Could somebody explain? So is this what I'm looking at now? Would this be like recommendation number?
This is plan
2.
Plan A.
Okay, plan A. Could somebody just go through it? Because I'm looking at it. It looks like we've eliminated the PAC.
No, it's moved.
Take up,
It's
okay.
moved up
All right,
outside
so
of
could somebody just, okay, but we've already talked about that that's not going to happen or not.
Well, our recommendation is that
Right,
the
I thought
PAC
that
stay
it was
at Mount
determined
View.
by somebody that there was no place else to put it. But then the budget we
So
have,
this one is PAC is.
I guess,
Okay.
can somebody just go through this quick and explain it?
Somebody read it so that we...
Okay. So item 1 is to have a pickleball wow center, mostly to clarify that if we're going to spend a substantial amount of money, PIF money, residents' money, we should have something that is a wow factor, or some people call it a competitive advantage over other communities, something that brings people into our community because they come here and they say, I really love the Bell pool setup because of the walking pool. That kind of thought process is what we're looking for. We can't think just one group, but how do we make the community something that people are impressed with and speak about elsewhere? To this effect, one realtor specifically said, I have people that contact me from all over the country, they on my website, and they say there's only 2 things that they ask about, and that is golf and pickleball. So if we are to pay attention to that and what helps our property values, we would want to have something that's special related to pickleball. So indoor courts specifically is addressed here. Next item is a fitness center. So the fitness center stated here is saying 12,000 square feet. I think you'll see in other recommendations that changes to 15,000 square feet. And the point here is that we're really lacking in modern fitness centers today. Rather than, I've explained this previously, so I won't go into a lot of detail unless people have questions, but we don't really have a modern fitness center that draws people in the next gen category here, and we would need to have more space to do that. pool area basically remains the same, because if we go back to the town hall meetings that were conducted specifically for Mountain View about 5 years ago now, they said, we love our pool. Leave our pool. I've been around on multiple inspections of Mountain View because I am the inspector for the Properties Committee, and I've been stopped by multiple people saying, please, we love our pool, don't change our pool. So I try to listen to members. So the mini golf stays, the lawn bowling remains in this one, the restrooms as is out there outside for mini golf and lawn bowling. Walking path. That has to be considered because if you look at the survey, again, this is data related because the survey says #1 item that people do as an activity in Sun City is walking. They want more walking area. So we thought it would be appropriate to put that in. Okay, the PAC is a very important part of the culture of Sun City. We strongly recommend that we proceed with a PAC in the right location. And that's not in this recommendation. Okay, so the rest of that there says let's look at what we make rather than saying it's $27.3 million is all we have, which is really not accurate as I understand it. We're at about $31 to $32 million in the PIF fund today, but you're not going to use all of that necessarily for Mountain View. Take into consideration that we make about $7 million per year off of PIF. And think about how much that is over a 5-year time. And as we've already seen, it takes a while to get your drawings, your permits, your construction going. So nothing happens in a very short order. It's going to take a few years to get anything done. In a 5-year period of time, you'll have another $35 million, assuming that nothing changes in that rate. So the point here is think about how we're going to grow and not just what we have to work with today. Those are the key points. If you go all the way down, Jeannie, you'll be able to see the map. Or, I'm sorry,
actually,
the drawing.
it's not here. That was the time when I could not. Is this it?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I don't know. Could you gave me? Are you
that's
sure?
it. That's it.
Okay.
So in this case, you'll see off to the left is the fitness area. It's 2-story. And then you also have the lobby, which is pretty close to where you enter now, Mountain View, where it's in yellow. The orange area off to the left is the fitness area expanded into an area that was, well, okay, Lana, would you rather I stop? Because I'm fine with stopping. Lana says this is exhausting, doesn't want me to continue. Everybody else
Just run it through quickly.
I'm not going fast enough, I'm going a lot faster. Okay, so you see outside you have courts, and the indoor courts are where you see where the PAC used to be. The outdoor court, let's see, I can't read that.
No, I could hardly read it up close.
Yeah, okay. Paul, help me out here.
Pink is 8 outdoor pickleball.
Blue is the outdoor. Yes.
Blue is 12 indoor.
Yeah, 12 indoor is the blue, and then the pink or fuchsia is the outdoor.
Yeah, that's the way it's presented.
Then are the other 3 still staying that
Yes,
aren't blue?
correct,
So
yes.
you've actually got 15 outdoor.
No change there at all. So.
15 outdoor and
Correct.
8 indoor.
3 outdoor out.
Sorry, 11 outdoor, 12 indoor.
15
here.
outdoor.
I think that's a little too close. but Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question on the money, Steve. What was your total for this?
This one you never had totals anymore.
Yeah.
No numbers.
I don't think we totaled it up. We said to keep it within a budget of the 27.3.
But that 27 does not include the PAC.
That is correct.
The PAC would have a new
Well,
building.
again, we say keep it within the 27.3, so therefore something less than that. But yeah, you need to have, we'd have to, this one did not go into the detail of the cost.
Okay.
Okay? The next one gets more detail than the cost, Plan B.
Why don't you go
By leaving it open-ended like that, you can do, as you said earlier, Norm, on Plan M, a lot of modifications to fit budget.
What were you going to do Plan B now?
Can I?
Don't you vote on it?
Why don't you
Suppose we
vote on
vote after
A?
we we see 3 plans?
Well, if there's a plan B, and I don't know, Steve, is that
There's plan A, B, and C.
Stand for the
yours?
Okay, let's see the.
Okay, well then I think it's only logical that we hear plan A, B, and C, so that then when we vote on A, we'll know what the other 2 choices are, and when we vote on B, we'll know what the other 2 choices are.
Why didn't that apply to plan? If we wanted to be consistent, that would have had to be true for Plan M as well. We would have held off the vote on that until...
We all know that plan already, so we didn't have to.
Okay.
We all know these plans.
So what I would recommend, Steve, is you go through plan B and C as quickly as people can understand it, and they'll ask questions if they have them.
Okay, yep. The plan B was to rethink this a little bit more and saying seems to be a very strong interest for some at the theater auditorium stay at Mountain View. So therefore, if you look at the top line, very clearly states what stays at Mountain View. That is the theater, the auditorium, with the improvements that are appropriate for a modernization, if you will. And then the pool stays, as stated earlier, the pool with a spa upgrade. Okay, and mini golf stays, lawn bowl stays. All right? Yeah, this is plan B, yes.
And what's the difference between this and plan A?
Then mostly the theater stays, which of course was going to reduce the number of pickleball courts because the previous plan A had pickleball courts.
Yeah, do you have a number in mind for plan B for pickleball courts?
Yes.
Back up, Jean, if you would, please. Well, okay. Jean's showing us the visual line.
Whoa.
Can read it now. A little bit smaller, please, Jim.
Is this A or B?
This is B. This is B. Because the pack is.
We're still on B. We're still on B.
So you got 4, 8, 12, 15 in the purple.
Correct.
Are these indoor?
And they're all outdoor?
No. These are indoor.
15 indoor.
15 indoor courts.
Do you have a price for that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's listed there at 18.8 million.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the basis for that number?
$500 per square foot was a recommendation from a board member to use.
I'm a board member, but nobody with any expertise.
$500?
Well, to that point, Sue, the board member said that talking to construction companies, just simply a shell building that is HVAC'd would be about $500 a square foot. Karen, you may have better information.
Yeah. What I could suggest is that there are currently 15 projects in planning and underway in the Phoenix area to build indoor pickleball courts in addition to the 3 that have opened in Phoenix already in the last 15 months. And I think that there is some virtue in trying to figure out what those things have costed or do cost. So it may be that that's a legitimate number, but I think if we looked and found out what did they pay at Chicken Pickle, what did they pay down in Chandler, and what our other companies that are building indoor courts are, I think we could get some numbers. But so just want to say, that Marlene's plan benefits from it having gone out to a cost estimator. We have to understand that anything else, there was a decision made by this committee that we don't even want to know what a new theater would cost of any size, shape. So we're going to be at a disadvantage in having that information. It's only going to be guesswork at this point, which is why in the email that I asked Jean to send out to all of you, I had said point number 4 was, what is the information that we still need to acquire in order to be able to accurately think these things through? So I would say cost. This is just, a best guess estimate.
Yeah. Understood.
I have the mic.
That's your fault.
I don't even really know what to think. So I just have one question, and of course, personal to my own self-interest. On Plan B, you said that nothing happens to mini golf.
Correct.
But on Plan A, did we read it right that it goes to only 9 holes and has the ADA compliant?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That shouldn't be, thank you.
Okay.
I think that mini golf was basically staying the same, but there was thought process too. There's space out there to maybe use for an ADA 9 and a separate normal 9. So the thought was we might be able to change it up, but that can go on to any plan. Okay, that was just thought process in that really. All right, Dan had a question.
Well, I just want to add too that those, some of you I think are thinking that pickleball is just a fad that's going to go away. If you were to go with this plan, you've still got an air-conditioned building.
Yeah.
That's true. Thank you. Okay, I'm doing my quickie math on the components there, the orange 7.5, the green and yellow 1.75, and the pink 18.8, assuming they're fairly accurate numbers. That adds up to, I think, about 28 million, somewhere around there, and that's not even touching the Performing Arts Center building or the pool or any of the other upgrades to be done at all. So this is basically just adding an indoor pickleball and improving the fitness. And anything else would be money above and beyond that. And I believe you said there would be some kind of improvement in seats, current seating. What's your concept of improvement of current seating?
Give them the mic.
Well, I want to respond to that, so give it back to me, boy.
Yeah, back to what Norm said when we were doing Plan M, it's subject to modification and budgeting and all the technical review. I think that we were compelled, we were told we have to come up with some numbers, so we used a very rough estimate. You're right, Sue, that there's other numbers that have to go into this for the seating, what type of seating. That's still going to be decided later on. You would want to talk to various clubs, the Players Club, I don't know, Tip Top Dancers, the people that are going to use the theater. We're not the experts, and we want them to be involved with the architect at that time. So we don't know what that number will be. But I want to go back to saying, if we keep telling ourselves we stay within the 27.3 million, we can't do anything else, we're ignoring the fact that it takes time to do these projects. There's $7 million coming in, and we might be hurting ourselves if we force ourselves to stay at a low number, not realizing we have opportunity to build out for a longer period of time.
So, Steve, another clarification. So it's 28 million plus whatever it costs to redo the
Performing Arts Center.
Again, Norm, but this is very rough. Again, just like
no, I'm not asking for a price. I'm just saying that it's 28. Best estimate $28 million plus whatever it takes to make the theater performing group.
Okay, but remember how many times Marlene said to us, be careful, these numbers need a lot more review.
No, I just wanted clarification. Okay.
All right, and then my comeback is, I'm sorry, but we're kind of sticking with the current budget simply because, let's talk reality. It'll be a year or two before this happens. Expenses will go up, and what might currently be budgeted is not necessarily what we would be paying 2 years from now, which means, again, we're going to need that extra PIP just to stick with the plan we have now. But to count on that extra PIP, I mean, if you're talking 7 or 8 years in the future, do you really want to wait 7 or 8 years before this basic stuff happens, and then we still have to build a pack?
Okay, Steve, you ready to go on to C?
Yeah. 10 minutes ago.
One more comment, and then let's go on to C, or we're not going to get done.
Okay, what I want to know is, are we building all these pickleball courts for Sun City people or people from outside of Sun City? You look on the internet, everywhere on the internet, we see pickleball playing in Sun City. You look on there, there's probably 10, 12 in a row. They're telling people to come to Sun City. Okay, so I got the data. From February through April this year, they averaged 600 guests a month playing pickleball here in Sun City. I'm not sure if any of you are aware of that, but I got the data from RCSC for that. So, and they paid $2.50 with a little punch card. They could go in there. The person takes them in there, and then that person that gets them signed in does not have to stay. So we need to look at that kind of stuff. Are we building these for actual Sun City people, or are we building them for people outside of Sun City to come here?
Okay. Steve, you want to go on to the city? Let's go on to the city.
It's just that it's an aspersion that's been cast that is completely untrue, and if it's not addressed, then it goes down as though it was actually true.
Okay, you have a chance later, but let's try to keep moving. Steve, I'm sorry, I got your mic. That's it. Go ahead and give it. Can you talk to two sides of your mouth, please? No, you don't want to go there.
Okay, so in this Plan C, we have 2 stories, as I was stated before, for both Plan A and B. So nothing really changes here in the fitness area. Again, the fitness area should be one of our better fitness areas. It should be modern, it should be rivaling just about anything else that you could find in the outside Metroplex, the Phoenix Metroplex, because that's what next-gen people are going to want to come here to see. That's who's coming here. Lobby staff area is only about 3,000 square feet. So you got some approximate cost estimates again using the similar $500 per square foot reference. An outdoor spa, okay, that one comes right out of what Marlene estimated. So nothing different, nothing unfamiliar there. Now we're talking about reducing pickleball courts substantially. So hopefully you like this a little bit better, Lana. The pickleball courts go down to 6 outdoor and 8 indoor climate-controlled pickleball courts. This is still a competitive advantage if you have indoor courts. You still are going to be recognizably better than other communities. It's only about 21,000 square feet, and you can see the price came down from about 19 million to 10 million. So that's a big difference, and yet you still get a wow factor. Okay. Auditorium, again, the better seating, what other additional improvements that are appropriate. We don't know how to estimate that, but as we learned from Marlene, $13.1 million is a renovation, and yet we've heard where renovations could go for less than that. But we don't really, I don't think really know the details of it. Security fence was added in here because that was something that Marlene put in and we forgot about in discussion. Do we want a security fence? So, total? Okay.
Do you have a graphic or anything to go with that?
Yep, Jean's trying to pull it up.
Fine.
Yep, got it, Jean. I don't know if you can enlarge it. Anyway, yes, it does show that in order to get the indoor pickleball courts, you would displace, I think the important point here is displace lawn bowling, because there's been talk that lawn bowling could be improved elsewhere, and therefore it would be not like losing lawn bowling if you improved it elsewhere. So that gives you the 6 outdoor courts with the patio area in green. Because as we've been learning here, just simply using a square footage area and saying pickleball courts fit, you have no way for people to walk in and out of courts. You don't have area for them to sit down. So you need that patio area. And the yellow, if you look at the yellow towards the bottom, that happens to be the lobby entrance for the fitness center, the locker rooms. Again, the locker rooms are on the bottom. Just like Fairway. Think about Fairway, but expand it. Considerably expanded. And I'd like to draw a point to how the wow factor of Mountain View's fitness center could be significant, because if you see how it's faced with that angle off to the right, that wall is going to be, should be, I'd like to see it as a glass wall. That means that you could see the pool area, and you can see maybe part of the golf course. You may also have a glass wall on the far southern bottom of the drawing, and that would allow you some viewing on the second floor to a golf course. So that gives you really a nice aesthetic view, and I think that would be a substantial wow factor in fitness centers if we do that right.
And this is still Plan B, right?
C. Sorry, we moved to C.
Oh, yeah?
We're on C.
You're on,
C is in
C or B?
This is C, Charlie.
Okay.
C is in Charlie.
Besides lawn bowling, what else is being eliminated?
That's it.
Tennis, of course.
Well, I'm sorry.
And tennis.
Yes.
Of course. I mean,
But Dave's been getting that up all along.
so we have 14 plus 7, that's 21 pickleball courts in this version. There's 7 existing out there.
Yes, correct. Dave's identifying 21 total courts. Which I know there's been confusion in this regard because I think the question was asked, how many courts do you want at Mountain View? And it was misunderstood that it'll be 45 courts. We don't want 45 courts at Mountain View. It's not a fit issue. It's not appropriate. It's 25 courts was the original, going back a few months ago, discussion. And now we've reduced that in all these plans.
And what does that do to the parking situation?
Yeah, I've said this before, Norm. I think that we're missing out on a better understanding of how to handle parking here. We keep on saying, it has to fit, conform to what we know now. I don't know if we have anybody that has really worked with the Planning Commission, discussed whether or not we can do something with parking. I think we need to take that as a further, like you said, you go to the program states, you go to the design level, you make modifications then. I think that we keep on saying it's too expensive to do vertical, and yet we haven't really understood what that cost can be. They do vertical in many parts of the world because they don't have space. If you run out of space, you have to think vertical. So I think we should save the parking discussion for that stage that you were talking about, which is subject to modifications when we get into the technical details.
I think the parking situation and the financial situation is what determines whether or not proposals are realistic or not, because if you can't solve either one of those issues, then, we're spinning our wheels. But that's my personal opinion.
I don't know who here has the technical ability to solve for that, so we're not qualified to give that answer.
Well, you need a parking spot for every 200 square feet.
That's a hurdle that can be
Maybe.
Okay, I will vote for these to go forward. However, I think it's very presumptuous to think we have an open pocketbook. We don't. We have some big if things coming up. And my only fear on this is we're going to put this out and we're going to put the other one out. And people are going to go, wow, wow, wow. And then we're going to find out in the end, the board's going to say, isn't going to happen, we don't have the money. So we're going to disappoint you.
Okay. Are we ready for a vote?
Yes. Votes no, yes, no.
Let's go back to A.
I think a little more.
Okay, we got a comment, and then we'll go back to A and get a brief summary.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're going to vote for these individually, Plan A, Plan B, and Plan
Yes.
C. So we can vote yes for more than one.
Yes.
Okay.
You can vote no for more than one.
Okay.
And I think in your description of A, B, and C, in the cause of transparency, you ought to at least give us a ballpark figure, knowing some of it's accurate and some of it's going to be based on who knows what. The other thing I think needs to be mentioned in all of the proposal is what's being eliminated at Mountain View in order to achieve whatever plan you're talking about. Okay, can you do that? Let's go with A.
Bring it back up.
Okay, so in A, okay, you want a brief summary and you want to know what the amount of dollars would be, is that correct?
Yeah, brief summary, the amount of dollars, and what, if anything, is being eliminated.
Okay, so no, this is,
No, that's A. That's B.
That's B.
all right, one thing's clear is that if we're going to show this at the town halls, we need to clean it up. But, that I C.
This is A, all
That's A.
indoor.
Which one is it? This B?
Okay.
Okay, so to answer your question on Plan A, Norm, the auditorium is eliminated. It moves to some other location in Sun City in Plan A. And the amount of Plan A will be 27.3, not to exceed. So you have to conform to everything that you want in that plan to be 27.3 or less.
But that leaves the building of Mountain View, the PAC building at some other location.
Leaves them without a...
Correct. Correct.
So are we ready to
And the
vote?
pool, they also eliminated the pool.
Somebody
All-
write this down.
All in favor of the Plan A proposal, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that didn't pass. Plan B.
Okay.
Plan B.
Okay, Plan B does have the PAC there. What else? We're missing the tennis courts again, also are replaced.
That's all.
We already voted on this one, didn't we? Just voted on this?
Oh, this is Plan B. We just planned it.
The pack is there, but it's not been approved.
This is Plan B because you've got figures on this one.
Yes.
You didn't
Yes,
have figures on
correct.
A.
Thank you, Jean.
What is that?
Okay, so this is Plan B, and you see the PAC there in the center. That with whatever enhancements, seating and rooms and so forth, change there. But that reduces the number of courts to the right to a total of 15.
All indoor.
Yeah, the fitness center, pretty much in all Plan A, B, and C, by the way, just for simplicity, stays the same. Okay, lobby, you know, storage areas, and everything stays the same.
And what's eliminated?
The tennis courts.
So this has fewer.
Just the tennis courts, that's the only thing eliminated?
Updating the pool, updating the pack, updating all the other stuff.
So most everything stays except for the tennis courts, and pickleball gets the indoor courts, 12 to 15. Again, there's a range there. Please keep in mind that can allow you to adjust for cost.
Okay. All right, remember we said brief?
$27.3 million not to exceed again.
And that includes the PAC or not?
It does, it includes the PAC.
Only 3 million. But they're getting only 3 million.
Okay, hang on. We're yeah.
We have not defined how much goes to the
committee.
We have not broken it down, okay, what goes to the PAC, okay, that's left out here. But, yeah, the numbers there, if you use those, you're going to say it's higher than the 27.3. Let's just say that those, again, were estimates. We need to go to the next stage.
Okay, all right, we got it.
Thank you.
Ready to vote?
Yeah.
All in favor of the plan B? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Any opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Plan passed?
Plan, yeah. That's Plan B.
Plan B was
Correct.
Okay, C.
Now C.
Wait a minute. Plan B is 8 in favor and 5 opposed?
Yes.
Nine.
Is that correct?
9.
9 in favor?
What's it, 9?
He is 9 in favor, 5 opposed.
Okay, 9.
9.
C.
Okay,
Hang on.
we have a technical glitch here.
No, I just...
She's not a glitch. Don't call her a glitch. That's mean.
That starts with a G.
Jay.
Not even a G.
Could be a W or a P.
I stutter, but not that bad.
Okay, in Plan C, real quickly, the PAC with improvements stays at Mountain View, and again, the fitness center, as stated in A and B, same. Spa, same. Pickleball courts reduced from 12 to 15 indoor Plan B down to 8, substantial reduction. Of course, that substantially reduces the cost also. And so 6 outdoor courts, hardly anything at $700,000. And yeah, lawn bowling. Lawn bowling will be displaced to elsewhere.
Eliminated.
Eliminated here.
There's ways to improve upon lawn bowling elsewhere.
But it's eliminated from all. That's my point.
Yes.
That's it.
Are those shaded pickleball courts, Steve?
No, the 6 outdoor are just outdoor as you see the ones that exist there now.
What is this?
Give up the shading because shading we already have at Marinette and no sense in doing the same thing over again.
What is this in this?
I'm trying to figure out how you came up with, what's your 750, what's your cost estimate on
720 was it?
on the outdoor pickleball courts?
Yes.
Marlene had 8 courts for 3.2 million. Now hers were shaded.
Hers were covered.
Yes, hers were covered. But you're telling me it's going to be $2.5 million to put a roof on it?
Back to Karen's point, it's time for us to go take a look because we don't know that Marlene has all the right estimates either. So let's just say that.
That's up to the board to put out bids for contracting.
Exactly.
The best price.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Paul's explained that.
Yes, he did explain that to me.
Okay, Paul just said that he used Marlene's estimate for the 2 outdoor courts that were in the picnic area. Correct. So he basically tripled that number.
Yes, I see that. Thank you.
Okay.
Steve?
Other questions for Steve?
What's in that left corner?
The existing courts.
Fitness.
And fitness.
No, up here at the top.
Existing courts.
Those are existing courts that you're pointing to.
Seven existing courts.
Yeah, those 7 courts just stay at, well, hopefully resurfaced, but they stay.
Hopefully resurfaced. Better be resurfaced. Yeah. Yeah, we need to resurface these things, guys, right away. I have a question. So the lawn bowling here, let's talk about that just a little bit. I know that at Fairway, their lawn bowling green is not a green, it's a felt.
Carpet.
Carpet, okay. Here it's green, and I've been at Mountain View playing tennis, and I see Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, they do have people playing there consistently.
Yeah, you have to do every other day because it's grass.
Oh, that's the way that works, okay. All right. So the question is, what does it do to lawn bowling to move? Because I haven't seen anybody, frankly, as I pass by Fairway, I don't see people playing on the carpet. So if there is, I don't know. My data is my eyes, but what would it take to make that transition?
To go what?
To take this away from Mountain View and put green in the Fairway?
Well, the problem is that lawn bowling has the second highest usage count next to pickleball. And if you eliminate a green, then you're crowding the other ones, and that's grass except for Fairway. They're all grass, and you cannot bowl on them every day. You have to go every other day. That's just the nature of the beast.
Oh, so the carpet allows you to play every day?
The carpet gives you, we put that in as an experiment many 15 years ago. The lifespan of the carpet has 10 years, by the way. Kevin, you listening? Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. It's on the budget. And yeah, it has been for the last 5 years. So we've experimented with that because there's a question of maintenance. You have to water and cut and fertilize real grass. Right. If you have carpet, then you don't have to do that, but then you have to pay a lot more for the carpet to begin with. So it was an experiment. Yeah, it's like everything else. It's half a success, half not.
So the data for usage at Fairway?
I don't have that data. I have the data from Mountain View, and that's almost 3,000 people.
2,300. Fairway had 2,300 people at their local in 2022.
So how's that compared to the other two, or the 3 places? How about Mountain View first? How does that compare?
Mountain View had 2,977. So
Fairway had almost the same amount.
Oakmont had 1,541. Lakeview had 1,843.
Lakeview had more than that.
Yeah, that's
I know, but that may be just the Monday bowling. Trust me, they had more. We had what, 31,000? I forget what that number is. Your number's
that
like
data is not.
per lawn bowling per year.
Okay, thank you.
The number of, okay, I think that what would be really interesting for us to know is what has happened to the membership numbers over the last 10 years with lawn bowling. What are the trends there?
Good question.
Does that hit that lawn bowling, whoever the lawn bowling person has answered that question, what has happened to?
What are you looking for?
The total number of bowlers in Sun City over the last 10 years.
Yes. We've been averaging over 300 membership total. We have been increasing, and that just this year, and that before even the season started, we picked up another 35.
Yeah, but 10 years ago, what were your membership numbers?
I wasn't here.
10 years ago, they were probably lower. I was here 20 years ago. But the lawn bowling has, and I don't belittle this, but it's grown. The last 2 years, we've trained 200 new bowlers. So it's not what you call a dying sport.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one other thing I'd like to make a point. I'm also the president. I'm the president of both the clubs, Fairway and Mountain View. There's two different concepts here. The Fairway Club is more of a higher level sport, and I understand that's basically the same thing with pickleball. Pickleball, in that you go down to Marietta if you want to get into heavy tournaments and whatever. You want to go down to Mountain View, you play more of a social aspect. And that's what Mountain View is. Mountain View, and that for all the social bowlers, all the bowlers, and that the score at the end of the day doesn't matter. And that it's the fact that it's a community that they go to. They live in the community. They want the community. We've been fighting this. We've had a parking lot put on top of us. We've had an auditorium put on top of us. Now you want to put a pickleball building on top of us.
That's not right.
I mean, really, folks, and that we want to bowl. And the people there deserve to be heard, and they're staying there. Our numbers at that club, and that has been consistent. I get full courts all through the winter season, and that they come and they bowl. And also the pickleballers and that come over and steal hot dogs when we have a barbecue. And I say you're welcome to come over. $30 a plate, I have no problem whatsoever.
I love it. You're just adding up your membership numbers. 2011, it was 1301, and in 2022, it was 1052, and 1252. It's only 100 people there.
1,000 people, did I hear?
Yeah, 1,000.
1,100.
From 1,300 to 1,200.
Wow.
Okay, you're so concerned about having climate control for pickleball players. Think about the lawn bowling people. They've been putting up with it for years. And they're not crying for climate-controlled lawn bowling like pickleball players are, which is very greedy.
And we're a little tougher.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to vote?
I call for the vote.
Okay, and we're voting on what, B now?
C.
Okay.
I do have a comment, and I want to, I think that indoor pickleball tennis is still a good thing. Lawn bowling is not quite as physical. I mean, yes, it is physical, but it's not quite.
Wait till you get to be my age.
Yeah. So, I think, as it's been explained before, I think the wow factor for advertising Sun City, keeping it on the radar with indoor is a wow factor. I think there's something to be said. Now, having said that, I don't support myself displacing the lawn bowling, but I think there are options. Now, I know I have ideas sometimes that people say they're bonehead ideas, but the 7 existing pickleball courts that we have, this is kind of like an alternative to what you're talking about. Instead of taking the pickleball,
the lawn bowling, putting pickleball courts there. Let's expand and use, yes, this sacred parking space that's right adjacent to the pickleball right now. And then use the unused solar, expand the parking on the backside and replace the parking with parking where the solar is.
But none of that's in Part C, so.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So let's have a vote then, because we need to achieve some things. Yeah. Everybody in favor of Plan C? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody who's opposed to Plan C? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. All right. Are there any other proposals that... Pardon?
Whoever didn't want to, you don't think you're required to vote.
One abstention.
Did we count it right?
Oh. Okay, so I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that that's the end of the proposals.
Yeah, we have 2.
And we got 2 that passed.
Could we vote again for the C, just to make sure that there's no...
Come on.
No, really. We got...
We can vote again.
Yeah, you want to check the voting machines?
Okay. You know what's nice? This committee's laughing instead of getting upset, so that's a step in the right direction. Okay, people in favor of Plan C, would you raise your hand again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those 7. And those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So there's 7 and 7.
You did it again, folks.
I did not change this, and that's 7, 6.
It should be 7 and 7.
But it's...
We had 7, 7 in the last count.
It was the counting.
Well, count again.
Well, we're back to the point of the board member voting.
Somebody chose not to vote, big deal. They abstained.
It doesn't matter anyway because it did pass. It didn't have a majority. It doesn't pass.
It doesn't pass.
So it's 7, 6, 7, or 7, 7 is the same result.
So, okay.
All right.
So we still have 2 to present.
Okay, we're presenting 2 proposals to the board. I think that is what we were charged to do. And unless you want to keep on meeting, with the concurrence of the board member, co-chair, I think we could call this a done deal, can't we?
Yes.
Yes. Whoa. Elsa has...
As much as I can understand the desire to be able to call this a done deal, something has to happen between now and the town hall meetings. So the committee feels like they have come up with 2 recommendations. What happens next?
Goes to you guys.
You gotta give it up. Yeah, I don't know where the other one is, so Steve's got it, that figures. My plan, and I said, Steve, if you stay up here and disagree with me if you like, my plan would be to report these 2 recommendations to town hall meeting to the members, because that's what we've done. We've taken official action, and we'll be able to explain both of them briefly, Steve. That would be how the town hall thing figures into this, from my view.
Yeah, I do think that the second plan, Steve's plan, needs to be clarified greatly as to exactly what's included and some kind of general idea, concept of money.
Yeah.
So we need to
But I don't think that needs to be our job.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm sorry, whose job is?
Well, who's going to write the report? Who's going to... Something has to happen.
I'll write the report. Somebody wants to help me, I'm willing to meet and wordsmith it, but get it down to what we said. I think it's been recorded too.
I'll work with you.
Okay.
will help you.
Steve and, okay.
Yeah, for the benefit of the membership that's going to come to the town hall.
Microphone.
White voice.
For the benefit of the members who are going to be coming to the town halls, it might be very beneficial to them that you already have Plan M, which is a fit map that can be put on some kind of poster board. I think it'd only be reasonable if you could have a similar plan available to the membership so they can view both Plan M and Plan B.
Yes.
You're talking about a handout?
No, that's what I'm talking about, is something that when they walk by it, they can see, you can say, this is Plan M.
Well, you know, I've got a great guy that can make sure that gets done, Kevin.
Can Marlene do that?
If,
No, she's not even taking that. It's not her job.
When you put this out to Plan B out there or whatever, please don't say we have all this money, $7 million a year that we can take and use and add on. That money is already signed for other things like golf. So you can't take it and expect to take that money.
we're not going down that rabbit hole. That's you guys' rabbit hole. But no, but we'll just tell them that was a recommendation. Now the procedure is it goes to the board and they get together with whoever they need to get together, architects, engineers, committee members in the special areas, and then that will come out at a later date. That's all we're going to do.
Numbers.
Okay? No more comments from the committee?
One more motion we adjourn.
We can't just a minute, but beforehand, since we've gotten to know one another fairly well since the middle of May, and I just want to say how much I appreciate everybody's commitment to being involved in this, to thinking through things, and to digging up information wherever it was necessary to have. Thank you very much for your service to the community.
We got a couple comments and then we'll open it up to...
I was going to motion we adjourn.
Still got a few minutes.
20 minutes. I would like to go back to Karen, if she could please comment on this email that we all got from the new general manager concerning the previous planned project for Mountain View. Since we received this and it seems to be very appropriate, we need to know what impact that could have on how we just spent our past 6 months.
So I have spoken with some people about this, but apart from that, I don't have any more information than what you see in the email exchange itself. So the situation is this, that we had an architect, CCBG, and a CMAR, a construction manager at risk, which was the Alston Construction Company, who were working on the detailed design plan for Mountain View Option 2, starting last July and up through March of this year. So in March of this year, it was, by the way, a stop work contract, so it meant that we would never be obligated to pay for more than what the work that had actually been done up to that point. It was no commitment to pay a future amount. At that time, when this passed in July of 2022, the expectation was that we would spend $1.5 million on detailed design and it would take 18 months, which means that detailed design would have been continuing up through December of this year. Okay, with construction to begin in January of 2024, so just a few months from now. In March of 2023, this year, the board suspended that plan. So it all comes down to sort of what you assume is meant by suspended. And I know that there has been some chatter out there about people that think if the SAC isn't successful, then it automatically defaults to the Mountain View Option 2 plan. That has never been stated. I don't believe that is true. But the situation is simply that, so Mr. Darvit wanted Marlene to get the nod to be the architect for this project. And Mr. Delazinski responded and said that's not the way things work. When we have a project this size in Sun City, it has to go out for bid. And Marlene would be welcome to bid. And by the way, in the meantime, Marlene and our Director of B&I Buildings and Infrastructure, Mike Weepert, have been in contact with one another so that Marlene knows what is necessary to be included on the list of approved vendors. So in order to even be able to submit a bid, you have to have fulfilled certain requirements. And they're quite difficult. Yeah. And that adds a lot to our costs, by the way. But they're very, very high bars there. So Marlene knows that, and if she wants to submit all the information that's necessary, she's free to do that, as is any architectural firm. But what was said in that email from Matthew was that the two companies, the architectural company and the construction company, are on a suspended basis, not a retracted basis. There's no obligation, as I understand it, to us going forward, but they've sort of been sitting, waiting for us, thinking that if we continued with this project, we could ask them to resume their activity without going out to bid for a brand new project. I don't know, Kevin, is that basically right from the way you understand things? So that would be an option, but we would, the other part of that, and I had a conversation with Matthew today about this, he hasn't been in Sun City for a really long period of time already. And the situation is simply that of what existed in Mountain View Plan 2, the only thing that potentially would be carried over into what the SAC had been considering was the possibility of adding a sports pool. Okay, there was not going to be a 400-seat theater with a 56-foot roof line and 20,000 square feet. There was not going to be a rotunda. There was not going to be a gym. We were not going to move the pool. So basically, something like 98% of what had been part of option 2 is no longer under discussion at all. However, if we went back to CCBG and to Alston, we would be able to continue without having to go through a bidding process because they have only been suspended as opposed to having that contract just officially completely ended. Does that help at all? Is that what you wanted to know? And I think, Kevin, that I represented things correctly. Is that your understanding as well? Okay.
Yeah, the only point was that Matthew, I think, said, well, the committee should go to the board and say, you know, stop what we're doing. So that was...
Well, so that is another, I've heard some chatter about that as well, that somebody wanted to bring forward a motion at the membership meeting saying that option 2 is just out, period. It's not under suspension, it's just eliminated, it's discarded. If that comes up, it's fine for the members to do that. I don't think there's any chance that anything other than that would happen anyway.
One of the first things the committee did was discard the idea of option 2. And as you just explained, what is going forward is essentially 98% different from what option 2 was. So we've moved away from that completely. And now that you've decided on a couple of options, it'll be time for the board to think about maybe terminating the original process.
Yeah, that would be the process. The recommendations that we did today are the guidance or direction that this committee would like to go in. Now the board's got to wrestle with it and what's financially feasible, what's physically feasible, all of that.
Of you.
Of me? Yes,
if we stop... If we put a halt to Plan 2 with CCBG, then we would have to go through the bid process all over again.
No, we have to anyway.
Or do they redesign one of our options we're sending in?
They could.
I don't think. Do they redraw in?
It depends on what you mean. Obviously, when we get to the end of the town halls and the members in the community have had an opportunity to comment to what you've done here today, this group will finalize or move forward based on what they hear from the general membership, and you will make a recommendation to the board that the board do X. And so, let's say, for example, at the end of all of this, you decide you want to recommend Plan M, okay? You'll submit that to the board and the board will proceed. We will at that time probably have to ask for someone to redraw this because this is 98% different from what option 2 was. So we definitely need a redraw here. Whether we'll ask for a new contractor is a little open still, but in all likelihood, because it's 98% different, probably a different competition for the redesign would probably be most appropriate.
So you will be calling us back again?
Well, you'll probably be called back again at the end of the town halls to reflect on the information that the members provide to the committee based on the information the committee is providing to the membership.
So the answer is yes?
Yes.
This is a lifetime assignment.
Okay, let's see if we've got some.
Exactly. I'm on the downside of that.
You're closer.
Steve, is a question for you. Plan B seems to me to be the equivalent of saying, we're going to build the Taj Mahal, but it's going to be under 27 million. Now, how in the world, if I'm a person at the town hall, I'm going to say, give me the Taj Mahal. I just think it's totally irresponsible to just say, we're going to do all these wonderful things, and I guarantee it's going to be under 27 million. Right. Can you help me with that?
The recommendations, we all know that Plan C is weak on numbers, but and the implication I got from the committee was that we need, whoever, the board needs to firm up some numbers so that we know, they know what they're talking about. But again, that's not the purview of this committee.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I would really, you've got 2 plans going forward. They've got to be presented by someone at the town halls. Am I correct about that? Because otherwise the people there don't have anything to give you questions about. So I would recommend that you find someone who advocates for Plan M, have them put a little presentation. I think the idea of putting up a graphic showing for people when they walk in, but someone's got to talk to Plan M so people can understand it. Someone also has to talk to Plan B so people can understand it, because otherwise you're not giving them anything to be able to ask you somewhat educated questions about. So I think between now and Monday, people have got to put together a couple of things so that members can have something to sink their teeth into.
We're going to try to do that, and we're under a time frame, obviously. But the restrictions we had on town hall was because we wanted the members to make comments. We have 20-25 minutes to make a presentation, and these recommendations should be included in that, and then they can ask questions about them or whatever. But the idea is to get as many diversified opinions as we can out of the town halls, because it's the members.
But you got to give them something to see.
We're going to do that, but it's got to be brief because of the time frame.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. I've been listening to all of this, and it brought me back to my youth when I thought I might become an architect. And I studied architectural design several years. And I only mention that because there's an approach that one takes. When you have to come up with a design project, your instructor will, or in this case the committee, gives you the specifics of what you are supposed to do, and you work within that time frame. attended most of, if not all of these meetings, and I was impressed. Originally, I was skeptical of Marlene, but I was impressed by her presentation. It was professional. She listened to everyone. Everyone gave up something and everyone got something. You have a professional view. You have a person who, with their professional expertise, went out and put some cost estimates on it that makes sense. You also have a plan B. From what I hear, this was developed from a perspective that was somewhat different. It had a viewpoint and then tried to make the plan conform to the viewpoint, and it doesn't even have a cost estimate. It's just presenting someone's view, what they would like. I've had my say. Thank you.
Thank you.
With all due respect to the efforts of the group, you just passed a plan that's frankly impossible.
Exactly.
15 enclosed pickleball courts are going to be a minimum of 50,000 square feet. $25 million for that. Karen, you know the numbers better than I do. You've got 30,000 square feet for 8 courts at Marinette. You approved 15 enclosed pickleball courts at Mountain View, and we're projecting some lame number that wasn't even in the realm of possibilities or reality. On top of that, now you've got your 50,000 square feet of pickleball. You've got your 10,000 square feet or 12,000, whatever you skinny the pack down to. Plus you've got 15,000 more square feet for the fitness center. Do the math. You're now at 75 or 80,000 square feet. Again, you can figure out the parking spots roughly off the top of my head. That's roughly 400 parking spots. I don't know where you get them, guys. It's a great plan. It physically can't fit or work. It's $45 or $50 million in the budget.
It can't work.
And you're going to show people what Tom called the Taj Mahal. God forbid I'm agreeing with Tom Swenson.
Yeah.
But realistically, your numbers just don't work. I think that's a disservice to the membership, because I know what'll happen. We'll parade in 100 pickleball players and go, wow, look at that.
Yes, exactly.
And we're going to be falling off the table trying to make Plan B work, and it won't. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Along with that, if you take Fairway, when they built Fairway, they wanted to enclose the pool, put a roof over it, and they didn't have enough parking. So that's why lawn bowling is there. So anything you're going to do at Mountain View, you have to look, are we going to do anything in the future that has roof space? You might be cutting your own throat right now if you don't pay attention to how much roof space you're using and how much parking you have. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind for the future, what you're going to do there. Thank you.
The only comment I want to make is I don't think either of them are going to come into 27 million to begin with. But my big concern was, and Karen kind of alluded to it, I want to make sure we don't fall back in time to what option 2 was from the prior architect. That's all I wanted to say. We don't want to go down that path. Because there's no number, dollar amount on that one finalized. So I don't want to go there.
Okay, I just want to thank the committee. I've been on a lot of committees over the years. This is probably the most difficult one I've ever seen. And it's not all your fault, Steve. But I'm not going to take the blame for it either. But you have put in a lot of work. We came up with some recommendations that may or may not be feasible, but you know, if you give me an axe and tell me to carve something, it'll look one way. You give me a grinder and a knife and I'll come up with something better. We did what we could with the tools we had, and I'm glad that the membership has been involved in this, and I would recommend that in the future we should involve the membership because I think they'll have a lot better ideas. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. On your phone, John.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.